I've been scanning my own work for a while now and I tried a couple of different options. First, I started off with a V600, which is a flatbed scanner. Because I didn't really like the results, I started to go with lab scans. Great results, but then I realized that I really wanted more control over the images. And that's how I ended up with DSLR scanning, and I'm still loving it. But let's compare it and see after all these years if I still feel the same about it. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk It Over. I'll compare 3 different shots which have been scanned either by the lab or by myself with a flatbed scanner or the DSLR scanning method. Although I'm not really using a DSLR but a mirrorless camera, but that's besides the point. I'll show them in a random order, just take a look and then I'll tell you which scanner belongs to which photo. And then I'll give you my thoughts on the results, but also what I think about the scanning method. Because sometimes it's just not only about the results, could also be the workflow that I hate or just love, and the control you have over the images. Before we are comparing the results, a little disclaimer, because lab scans will not look the same all the time. It all depends on which lab, which scanner and who is the person behind the scanner that is scanning your images. Even the same lab can have different results from time to time, so keep that in mind. And these lab scans were scanned with a Noritsu at one of the best labs that I've worked with in my experience. Also, all the DSLR and flatbed scans are pretty much untouched to get a good comparison. Although I think that with DSLR scanning you get a lot of room to adjust things in Lightroom afterwards. But let's go to photo 1 and check out the differences. As you can see, photo A and B are almost identical. A little difference in color and contrast. And photo C is way out of order with the colors. These are the scanners that they were scanned with. So let's see, we have photo A, which was the Noritsu scanner, and what I really like about it are the colors, definitely the greens in the background. But I do think that it's too sharp, it looks a little bit crunchy. And if we go to photo B, which was the DSLR scanning method, I feel like there's more detail, definitely if you look at the eye. And the sharpness is there, but just not as crunchy as the Noritsu. And in my opinion that's a better look because it doesn't look that over sharpened. I guess I like a little bit more softer look. There are also a couple of minor differences, like the blue tones on the top part of the image from the DSLR scanner. So I feel like the Noritsu scanner has a bit cleaner color palette, if I can say so. And if we go to the V600 we see that the colors are way off. Might be adjustable in post, but I just don't like to do that. Also, the sharpness and the detail is nothing compared to the other ones. So let's go to photo 2. I think that all of these are pretty comparable. There are some differences of course, but not too bad. And these are the scanners that they were scanned with. We have photo A, which was the DSLR scanner, and I really like how much detail there is in the highlights. Also, compared to the other two, this one feels a little bit more natural to me. Not too much contrast, but also no blown out highlights. And I also really enjoy these colors. Way more natural in my opinion. If we compare it to the Noritsu scanner, which was photo B, I think that the Noritsu scanner is a bit more washed out. Can be a look of course, but that's not really what I'm going for. In this frame, the DSLR scanner has deeper greens and a bit more of a warmer feeling overall. And to be honest, the V600 did a good job too. The colors don't look way off like the other photo, just a bit more saturated. And if we go and take a look at detail, I think the DSLR scanner and the Noritsu are pretty close. But just like the previous one, I think that the DSLR scanner has just a bit more of a natural sharpening. You can see that in the out of focus part of the DSLR, it holds up a bit more than the Noritsu. Just look at those faces, it has a little bit more detail in it. The V600 isn't that bad, but still doesn't come close to the other ones. Then let's go to the last one, photo 3. A lot of differences here, which is pretty interesting. And these are the scanners. The V600 has the most natural colors, I think, where that Noritsu has that more washed out look and a bit more greenish tint. The DSLR sits right in between those two, and I think that I prefer that look. Although there is just something that I really love about that Noritsu. Maybe it's that nostalgic film look that it has that impresses me. And if we go and take a look at the details, I think that both the Noritsu and the DSLR are so close that I couldn't pick a clear winner. They both just have a different kind of sharpness, a different character. Where the V600, and you can also call that character, but it's way behind on sharpness. And those were the comparisons about the different scanners. And let me know which look you like the most in the comments down below. Would love to hear some opinions about it. But there's another subject that we really need to talk about, and that is workflow. The clear winner and the most easiest one is just to let the lab handle all of your stuff. After that, you just have to organize them on your hard drive and in your physical archives. Maybe some adjustments in Lightroom, but not too much. So that leaves us with the DSLR scanning method or the V600. I can honestly say that I've scanned a lot of rolls on both scanners, and I would never go back to flatbed scanning again. The way the software works is just so slow and tedious, just not the way that I want to spend my time scanning negatives. DSLR scanning, once you get the hang of it, is just a lot faster. You can just scan rolls in minutes if you want, and the plugin called Negative Lab Pro has improved a lot over the last couple of years, which is a plugin for Lightroom. And I also think that these modern cameras with these new sensors have way more dynamic range, for instance, and a lot more possibilities in post-production. So do I hate the V600 so much then? No, I don't. I really loved it when I started out. But then I realized that I wanted more detail in my frames very quickly. But I do think that the V600 is way more capable of scanning medium format or even larger than 35. And I do use my V600 to scan prints or to scan Polaroids. I don't think there's a better way to do that. So to come to a conclusion, I think that I will stick with DSLR scanning. Most likely because I really like the workflow and it saves me a ton of money instead of scanning at the lab. I also think that the details look better than the Noritsu, and I just have more room to create the final look that I want. And that's what it's all about. So let me know what you think about all of this. I know that this is just my opinion and that there are a lot of different ways to do things, which are all good, of course. The most important thing is that you just keep on shooting and create the things that you love. But that's going to be it for now. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.